Can you hear me?
Yo, what up?
Hey, how's it going?
Doing good, man. How you been?
Long time no see.
It's been a while, man.
It's
It's
been
been
a
a while. How
while.
long's it been?
It's been a while. I got a question. To save time, do you mind if I record this so I don't have to write down my notes?
Yeah, of course, man.
Okay, cool. Uh, Long time. I'm gonna get into it because I know your time is valuable, and
Yeah,
I have a bunch of questions to ask.
go ahead, man.
All right. As you can see, I got all my notes right here. Even put my notes on a napkin. Uh, my biggest thing is I'm not trying to grow an agency. So I learned from you back in 2017, and
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna be honest. I did not take all your advice. I charged poverty pricing, and I built an agency that was pretty much dog shit. And that's my fault for not taking your advice. And I learned the hard way. I'm working a job now, so things are a little bit um I wouldn't say difficult, but it's gonna be a challenge to get this agency up and running. But ultimately, I want to build a $5 million per year agency in the coaching and consulting space. But I don't know shit. I've taken your training and I'm gonna go through it again. But I don't know like shit when it comes to actually building an agency.
What do you mean?
Like just like the how to set. Okay, first question. Uh, like staying organized. I don't know how to like as I'm building this business model. I'm not sure how to stay organized. I'll just read my questions and then you can answer the ones as they like click for you. Um, oh, how to set up for scale. I don't know how to set my business up so I can actually scale. My goal is a $5 million per year agency working with 5 clients and learning specifically from you. You say charge like 100K per month. Like whenever, not charge, but like in a rev share model, you can get 100K per month from business owners.
Huh?
So I don't know how to charge that much. I'm not gonna lie. My mental when I think 100K per month, I'm like, man, that's how can I land those big deals?
Okay. Well, let's take a step back real quick, okay? So, are you making any money with your agency right now?
I had one client, and I'm not gonna lie, I lost her. But it was another poverty. It was another poverty paying client. They weren't going nowhere. And then once I listened to your teachings about charging 100, like not running any ads unless they're spending $100 a day, I already knew that client was not gonna sustain. So no
But what do you
clients
make right
currently.
now with your job?
I'm a bartender.
How much do you make each month?
Right now, I'm currently making around 3,600.
Okay. So, few things. Number one, you incrementally grow to a point where you're eventually charging 100K a month, or you get the opportunity to be able to charge 100K a month. Right now, you're getting 3,600 a month with your job. This specifically should be the first goal to try to get to this amount in income. And this is possible, obviously, with one client, but there's a few things to understand. Okay, it's a very like incremental process, to get to the point where, as an example, like when you first get to 10K a month, like that's a very common goal for people. I like to say the first goal should be 50K a month, and then you get to 100K a month, and then most people start jumping a couple hundred grand once they get to this level. So once you get to 100K a month, typically somebody will have a goal to go to like 250 or sometimes like 500. So moral of the story, this when you talk about like having a sustainable business that can actually like maintain itself and then eventually get to 5 million a year, which is just 500K a month essentially. There's steps, right? You don't just go from having a $3,600 a month job to doing 500K a month in a business.
Mm.
Nobody on earth really makes that kind of transition. There's steps along the way. This is typically how it ends up looking in terms of revenue. Okay, because to go from here just to this next level, the reason you're having a hard time going from here to here is you're not applying the lessons. You're not treating it like the game that it is.
Mm.
Did you ever played video games in your life?
Yes.
Right, give me an example of some games you like to play.
I like Call of Duty, Mortal Kombat. I like Grand Theft Auto, and
Right. So let's use Call of Duty as an example. Okay. So you start off with basic weapons. Okay. Like the ones that come when you very first turn on the game. Play multiplayer, you get whatever classes you got. Just to get to the point where you unlock the next set of guns, there's like a certain amount of kills that have to happen between these two levels just to get to this point right here. Okay. And
Okay.
then, as an example, like I always like the scar, but you don't get the scar right away. You might get the scar like at this set of levels up here. And once again, you got to follow the different steps just to get to that level in the first place. And then every Call of Duty game that I've ever played, they all have different skins and all that fun stuff to get like I remember back in the day like fucking Blue Tiger and Red Tiger and all that shit. Nowadays, I think they have like platinum and gold and all that fun stuff. Obviously there's like milestones to each step, right? You don't just go from the basic classes to all of a sudden having like a platinum, whatever the fuck, right? So anyway, moral of the story, that's the same thing in business. Okay. You got to understand you have to complete and accomplish the steps that are necessary to complete and accomplish to get to the point where you can do 5 mil a year. Okay. So look at it like this. There's as an example, like let's just say for simplification purposes that there's 10 steps between where you are now and the Marcos version of you that does 500K a month. Okay. There's essentially 10 different versions of you that you've got to level into as you continue to incrementally grow that deal with the specific set of problems that come at those different levels. A really good quote that you need to remember, which is every new level, there's a new devil, which just means there's a new set of problems on the other side of each new level that you overcome. When you fail to overcome a level and a set of problems at that specific level, what happens?
I stay exactly where I am, like I have.
Or you get fucking pulled back down a level, you know? So, moral of the story is you got to understand you need to hyper focus initially on the very specific set of problems that you've got right now. Okay. And let me give you an example of what I bet some of those problems are just based on where you're at. Okay. I bet that you're not consistently pitching people at all. Okay. I bet that you have no consistent outbound sales process and that you're doing other things on weekends and that you're doing other things outside of your job besides just locking in and pitching the fuck out of businesses with all that free time that you got. Okay. I remember very vividly, to be clear. A lot of people might think that given the scale that I operate at with the quantity of people that I help, that I don't have a keen memory for my different students. I know exactly what you did. You went on and you did some modeling stuff, which obviously has nothing to do with pitching businesses and leveling up your skill set. To be clear, I don't know what happened after that, but from what it's very obvious to be clear when somebody goes from like, a person that works a job to an individual that is running a business, even at an entry level, there's a pretty big distinction in like the very obvious signs that somebody has visibly for the adjustments in behavior that are required in order to achieve something greater than what they experience now in life. Okay. So when I say you specifically need to hyper focus on the particular level that you're at now, it's very important to understand you can still start and build your agency in a way that has a very high probability to get to the $5 million a year that you want to make. Okay. You can, and I'll go over those things with you to be clear. But it's once again, that's like the end goal, right? It's like, dude, in Call of Duty, it's like if I want all my guns to be platinum, that's great, right? That's like the end goal. But at the end of the day, I got to focus all my attention on like where I'm at right now in the game and what specific things I need to unlock and what specific attachments I need to use nowadays, and how many kills I need with it and blah, blah, blah to fucking get to that point. Does that make sense?
That does make a lot of sense. My next question would be like, what are those like levels? What do they look like? Starting at level 1 until like a $5 million, like what need like, Sam Ovens, he says like who you are today is you're not capable of like accomplishing that goal. He says because the person you are today, like you said, if I'm out modeling, I'm not gonna make a $5 million per year business. Who do I need to
That's right.
who do I need to become along the way that's going to get to that goal? And who do I need to crush?
Great question. So, a few things. Number one, I define the first level as you can successfully outmake what your job makes by about 3x to be comfortable and to be able to quit. Okay. That way you reclaim all that time to be able to spend even more time doing the important things that help grow the business, which is really just pitching and delivering results. Those are the two things that you need to simplify everything down to in a marketing agency: consistent client acquisition and consistently being able to retain the business, generating results for the clients that you do take on. Okay. Those are really the two different like sub games to the agency game. Okay. So when it comes to building the type of person that can handle this game and evolve into it through time, those are the two specific like things that you need to evolve with. You have to just consistently become better and better and better as a salesperson. Okay. And you need to consistently become better and better and better at delivering results. Now, to be clear, taking actions as an example, like getting into the master internet marketing group, that's a smart play. That helps with one of those games of I'm going to try to get better at delivering results. Through going through that program, you obviously have a fuckload of strategies that you can execute on. You have the awareness on like how it all works. You have the awareness on like all the tools that make everything faster. The speed in order to get results, like the mental framing of just how to go about doing all the work, all that stuff, that all falls under that game of I'm going to get better at delivering results. And to be fair, a lot of that stuff as well makes you more confident at what you can turn around and articulate to businesses to sell them on, which also in turn makes you better at sales. So to be clear, like that's a great example of an action that helps you with both of those games. Obviously, you have to turn around and just take action with it all. To be able to get to the point where you can actually deliver results with clients, you got to be comfortable with failing, just like you did with that lady that you closed as an example. There's nothing wrong with failing, especially when you're first getting started. You'll have failures the entire time, all the way up to the 5 million a year that you want to make. Once you even get to that level, you'll have clients that you still fail with. And that's okay. That's part of the game. But the point I'm trying to make, dude, where you're at, right? Getting to about 9K a month, call it like maybe 11K a month just because you're doing 3,600 a month. That'll give you some room. You could lose a client or two, but as long as you're consistently pitching, you'll be able to close that client and get them right back with somebody else who can replace it. And, you'll essentially out earn your income 3-to-1 from where you're at right now. Closing 3 deals, like talk to me about your work schedule. Like how many hours in a week do you have that are free where like
Free?
you can actually sit?
Yeah. I went through this. Yes, I went through this yesterday. I actually have 24. I think about 24 hours free. 24 free hours.
Perfect. So, like, I've been pitching about, I've been talking about video pitches now for like fucking however long it's been, almost 7-8 years now since you officially started learning with me back in the day. We still do those today. So to be clear, you sit down, you take some of what you learned inside of that master internet marketing class, and you pitch a business on executing one of those specific strategies for them. And you look like an expert, to be clear, because you genuinely know what you're talking about. You're taking, as an example, some of those SOPs that you get access to inside of there. You're turning around and you're saying, look, even though I'm not doing this for somebody currently, this strategy is working at scale for the mentor that I'm learning from. I want to turn around. I want to execute it on behalf of your business. When you're first starting, you don't really have an opportunity to charge 100K a month. That's just not possible for where you're at right now. What your advantage is before you get a bunch of case studies and results is charging something that costs less than what a payroll position costs inside of a business, and taking the responsibility of the business owner having to train that individual. You come already trained. So to be clear, an average payroll position, especially for a business operating in a major city, about 5 to 6K a month. So if you come in as an example and you charge, let's say 4K a month, 4K a month is still a huge discount in comparison to what they're going to have to charge, or should I say pay in payroll. And in addition to that, you come trained, you come skilled already. And to be fair, you've also developed a lot with your ability to communicate a little better over the years from what it seems like so far. Point I'm trying to make, that helps in being able to sell yourself. Main things you're selling before you got a bunch of results are them having confidence in you as an individual and them having confidence in the strategy that you're pitching them on. Those are the two main things, even though you don't have a rap sheet of case studies yet. And to be clear, what you do in those first deals, you try your absolute hardest to play that second game of getting them results. And as soon as you turn around and you turn their money into more money, that enables you to then go and close another person, okay, at a slightly higher level than what you're playing right now. There's
Can
a
I ask a question real quick? How did
go ahead.
you in the beginning? How did you manage? Because like I said, I know you quit Grant Cardone's office when you were making 10K per month there. How did you manage like the switching your roles from going to salesperson to going to then now digital marketing to then now like fulfillment and stuff like learning and things like that? Like how if you were me, how would you be managing your time of those 25 hours to get to that 5 million per year?
So when I quit my job at Grant's office, I had one client that was paying me $4,000 a month. So I took a $6,000 per month haircut to be able to quit my job and free up all that time. Okay. So to be clear, as soon as I had 4K a month coming in from that specific client, and I even was able to generate him a little bit of results before I quit. That way I knew that I'd be able to retain that client. I still work with that client today, still pays me 4K a month. This is the
Damn.
cheapest deal. The point I'm trying to make, um, I spent, to be very clear with you, uh, almost all of my time in that first 45 days as a marketing agency on sales. And when I say all my time, let me just put it in perspective for you in a very literal way. I'd wake up, I'd go sit at my computer. And at that time, I wasn't doing video pitches. I didn't know about that yet. I was sending these long ass emails to people about, and at the time it was people didn't know what a pixel was. You know, people didn't know what retargeting was. That was the set of strategies that we were pitching people on back in the day. And I would sit there without exaggeration, literally all day. I would wake up, do my basic stuff, like brush my teeth, take a shower. I would sit down for like 4 hours in a row, pitch people. I'd eat lunch real quick, sit back down for another 5 hours, pitch people. I'd occasionally go on a walk to stretch my legs. I lived on a small island, to be clear, here in Miami. So I would just go on a little walk. It was like a horseshoe shape. So I would go maybe down and back like 2, 3 times. It's real fucking hot. So you can't walk out there too long. And then I'd come back, sit back down, pitch people. After we started getting some sales calls, then most of my day became I'd pitch people, maybe have like 2 hours a day worth of some sales calls from pitching people. And then I'd go back to pitching people. And then eventually, maybe, I don't know, 2 weeks into just pitching people all fucking day, every day in a row, and then doing some sales calls, I'd finally got a few deals. Maybe like, let's call it just 1 or 2 extra deals on top of the one that we already had. I would spend all day pitching people, getting on sales calls, and then maybe like an hour a day, sometimes 2 hours a day, depending on the work that we were selling, on doing whatever the work was that we were actually closing people on, which didn't take a lot of time. A lot of it as well could be done with contractors from like Upwork or like places like that. And anyway, moral of the story, a very small percentage, like I'd say less than 10% of my day would be spent on the let's get people results game. And almost 90% of it is spent on let's get some fucking deals closed. And it took me 45 days to make $50,000 in deals. I initially started charging $1,800 a month. Very, very quickly, like within like a week of charging only that, I realized I wasn't going to be enough. We bumped that up to 4K a month. We had some random services that we would charge for like advertising stuff. Right away, we were trying to pitch people for like 8K a month. We'd get a few between like 4 and 6K a month for the ad services. And we'd get a couple later on that would pay us what we actually wanted. But literally, I just want to be very clear. Almost all day, every day, for literally 45 days in a row, like every day, Monday through Sunday, just spent pitching businesses all day. That was it. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot. Damn. I mean, yeah, that makes sense.
A lot of people don't think that you need to do that, but you do need to do that. That's how you get a result faster. If you spread it out, I mean, well, like what else do you got to do right now? You
Well,
know?
a big thing I'm stuck on. I don't know why I'm stuck on this, but this literally has I've been stuck on this forever. Is offer. I was like, I don't know what to offer. I know like we're offering like paid services, but I'm like, I talked to a few other members in the group, and they're like, okay, well, you kind of need to do the advertising. You got to build the funnels. You got to do the email marketing. You got to do this. So I'm not really clear on what I'm actually, for instance, like a
Yeah.
coaching
So
consultant.
when we pitch people, we always tell them we're like, look, you're hiring us to help you produce revenue. Okay. The main things that generate revenue are, first of all, having some kind of funnel that we can run traffic to. Okay. So like we'll help somebody build a funnel. That typically takes, no exaggeration, maybe like 2 hours worth of time to build and like get completed. Okay. Once we have a funnel done, We'll then connect some marketing automation to it, which is just email marketing, a sequence of emails that can help support the sales process or sell people further outside of the sales team that might work with them. And then from there, what actually makes the money is going to be advertising to that funnel that we just built for that person. So to be clear, in my agency, we won't even charge people to build the funnel and the emails because it takes like 3 hours in total and it doesn't make any money. When we actually run traffic to the funnel, that's when we make money and we have a probability of actually turning money into more money is when we run traffic to it. And to be clear, if we want people to pay us every 30 days, that's why we don't charge them for that stuff that doesn't make money. Because as an example, if I need the person to film ads or I need the person to like film a VSL video or something like that, I might take that person like a week to 2 weeks. I'm not going to charge them to do that because to be clear, then they're just going to waste 2 weeks of their own time and then they're going to have to pay me again in 30 days and they're not going to be very happy about paying me again. Does that make sense?
That does make sense. So the main core services are like email marketing, funnel building, advertising, and
advertising, funnel building, email marketing.
And then are you walking them through the VSL funnel or they, because I was under the impression.
Yes. So we'll have like a template, like the mini webinars that you learned about inside of the master internet marketing class, templates for like, we'll get on a call and we'll walk them through that, but we'll have them do it. Like we won't do it for them. We'll have them do it.
I was under the impression like these people already have that stuff built and we're just coming in and offering advertising. That's just them.
Sometimes they do.
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes they have all that stuff. That is the case in most instances. But there are some instances where they're like unsatisfied with it or it's not getting results and they want to do something new and you might pitch something specific that they just don't have built out. You'll need to help them build it out.
And then like team wise, I know it's just me right now, but if I have like a $5 million per year business and my goal is to work with 5 clients, like how big of a team would I need?
I mean, I have 6 staff.
Okay.
One of them is a marketing helper that just like will help build funnels or like do marketing automation stuff, like more time intensive things that I don't want to do myself. I still do all the advertising. I personally do it because I love advertising. To be very direct with you, if I didn't like advertising as much as I do, I would just have somebody else do it. But I do genuinely enjoy it, so I'm happy to do it. It doesn't take a lot of time. I think advertising, that exaggeration, takes me like a couple hours in a month of actually being in the ads manager for about 10 to 15 clients, give or take the month. Point I'm trying to make, I have the rest. I have 2 salespeople that sit there and do video pitches all day and follow up and just close people. And then in addition to that, I have an executive assistant. And then the rest are all just like contractors for different things that we need, like, video editors, or, people that just do random jobs that we don't want to have like a hired full time, but just like contractor work.
Can I build is it possible to build the business that I want to build without actually having employees, just all like contract labor, maybe even utilizing people in the DMM to like run advertising and stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You to be clear, when you do that kind of model, you're essentially being what's called like a white label agency in that example. And yeah, nothing wrong with that. That works really well.
Because I was going to partner with, like, to be real, I was going to, like, I have my own goals. Every person in the DMM has their own goals. You know what I mean? Like, they're obviously business owners. They all have their own goals. I was going to partner with someone, but I just wasn't going to make enough money per deal. It was like, they were selling like funnels and $1,000 funnels, and it just wasn't enough for me to like make money. Does that make sense? And so
to be clear, like you have to find somebody that is like you but skilled with something and probably bad at sales, and you find something that's agreeable. Like you don't have to build an agency together where like they get a percentage of total revenue. You just like you want to ask somebody like, hey, if you like run ads and like build funnels for people, like how much are you going to charge me for that per month? And they might be like, oh, I'll charge like $1,000 or like $2,000 a month. And then you turn around and you charge like $4,000 or $5,000 a month. That way you have a profit margin that you can work with. That's good.
Perfect. All right, we're answering a lot of my questions. See if I a big question I have right now is I am trying to level up even to like the maximum level and get to the next level, like you said, where I can quit my job and even lock in even harder. I have about like 7K right now. If you were me and you had the 7K, like would you just save it or would you utilize it to get to pushing you to the next level? Because one thing that I noticed,
there's nothing you really need to spend money on right now. Like that's the thing. Like it didn't cost me money to start my marketing agency. It cost me time and effort.
Well, I know you did that thing with Dr. Pratt, and like to me, I feel like I have like that employee mind. I have an employee mindset.
I did that after I was at $200,000 plus a month, and I was already 2+ years into my marketing agency. That did
Okay.
not in any way, shape, or form prevent me from making money.
How would you? Hmm. Turn, turn. Another question I have is like high value clients. They're gonna look at like anything that I produce online. They're gonna judge me. Correct?
Most likely. I mean, it depends on how they find you. Like if you pitch them and then they go and look you up, like that's where they're going to be the most critical, just to try to essentially when people look you up, what they're trying to do is they're trying to trust you, and you just have to have things there that help them trust you. So it's not like that's anything crazy, but to be clear, it's like, yeah, I mean, you want to have some kind of presence, like produce a little bit of content. um you could do things like, eventually, to be clear, like you'll have some opportunities to pay for press, maybe like a couple $100 or like $1,000. That can help a little bit just with a presence in a search engine. But I mean, remember, those are all like credibility assets, is what we call them. Things that just make it easier to say, okay, yeah, this guy's got his shit together. It's important to note at first, people don't really expect you to have that stuff, because it's going to be very, like, I'll give you a perfect example. We had a guy that we closed when we were in our first like 6 months of being a marketing agency. His name was Chris. And it was very embarrassing, like how it made me feel at the time. But we closed Chris for a $4,000 a month deal, and it was to manage his social media. And I remember Chris sent us over some images to create some image quotes, like some of the stuff that we were going to post. And we created them and we sent them back to him. And his response was something along the lines of like, I can just tell you guys aren't ready yet. Like you're not
Yeah.
ready to like operate at the level that we need you to operate at yet. And he's like, feel free to keep my money, and thank you for trying. And it was almost like a very like pity thing. But the point is, like, where I'm at today, I can see very obviously it's very important to understand. It's not a belittling thing I'm trying to tell you, but like, it's very important to understand, Marcus, for a business owner that's already established and has been in the game for a long time. It's just going to be very obvious to them that you're at the level that you're at. You know, you don't want to try to like fake the level that you're at. You want to essentially embrace the level that you're at as, once again, an opportunity. Where you're at right now, your opportunity is, you're going to cost less than what a payroll position costs. You're not going to get the best deals on earth. You're going to get some of, most likely, the worst deals on earth that are available to you, that some will have opportunities to scale up and make, as an example, if you can take a business, Marcos, to like $50,000 a month, okay, that'll then enable you to work with businesses that are doing like 20 to 25K a month that want to get to 50. And then when you eventually take a business to like 100K a month, it'll be a big deal for you. You'll feel great. And then that will enable you to work with a bunch of even better businesses that are doing like 50K a month and want to get to 100K a month, and then you could take those businesses to maybe like 200K a month. And then you get those businesses to 200K a month. The first time you get a business to 200K a month, then you get to start working with businesses doing $1 million a year already, where they're doing like 50 to 80K a month and they want to get to 200K a month. The people who will always want to work with you are below the level of results that you've already generated somebody else. So when you're very first starting off and you don't have any results for anybody yet, the most important thing for you to understand is that people are going to hire you because they like you as a person. They believe in your ability to help them, and you are cheaper than everybody else they could hire, and you already come trained. Those are going to be the main reasons that people hire you for where you're at right now. They don't expect you to have your shit super tight. Does that make sense?
Yes. So you're saying my first clients, I should be starting around like the $30,000 per month range ish?
Ideally, you get as best of a client as you can possibly
Okay.
get. It's very important to understand, like, the businesses that are already doing very well financially, like they're just not going to want to take a risk on you in a sense, versus a business that's at a lower point in revenue. They're more than willing to take a risk on you, once again, because they can't afford better talent. They can't
Mm.
afford the people that they might want to work. Like, they want to be just like you, man. They also want to make far more money. They also want to hire the best people. They want to work with the best people. But guess what? Their revenue limits them from having the capacity to do that. So they have to work with the best people that are available to them in their current available range. And yes, long story short, that'll likely be businesses that are doing anywhere from like 50,000 a month or less. And like I said, they're not going to be the greatest deals. But to be fair, you can definitely still help them out. And to be clear, you can still get them more money than what they're making now. And you'll learn a lot, just by doing deals at the level that you're at right now. And you'll start to identify like, all right, yeah, these deals are kind of bad, but you'll get one or two that'll be good. That'll then, it's called a door kicker deal. It'll enable you to go to that next level, because as soon as you go once again and you make somebody like double what they're making now, that'll unlock the people slightly below what you just made that past client. And then you take those businesses to a higher level, and then that unlocks businesses making slightly less than that. You see what I mean? And that's how you
Yeah.
level up to better clients, where you eventually get the opportunity to work with people that are, maybe doing like 100K to 200K a month. Those ones have the highest probability to get to $1 million a month. And those are going to be the ones where you also have the highest probability to be able to get a rev share, and, because you have a lot of leverage in those deals. But yeah, anyway, my point remains the same. I mean, dude, you're just not going to get all-star deals right off the bat, and that's okay. You just got to get deals, and you got to start the game. That's how it works.
I like we're at 30 minutes already, so I don't want to waste. Are we done?
But if you have a few more questions, I'm happy to answer them for
Okay.
you.
I do have a question about the exact things that need to be done in the business. So like we got our sales system that needs to be done. We have our you said don't run any marketing, so there's not really a marketing side. The fulfillment, so it's like sales, fulfillment. I'm trying to figure out like every piece of the business so I can just like map it out, so I know that if I
You right now solely need to focus on sales and getting people results, which you call fulfillment. Okay, that's all you got to focus on: sales, get people results. That's it. Don't overcomplicate it any further than that.
okay. And then I guess my last question is like based on like everything that you heard, like what advice would you give me, like just like raw advice to really to get my main goal is to get to that 5 million per month agency.
How old are you right now?
34.
So look, I'm 29. I turned 30 at the end of the month. Okay. You've had since 2017 to be able to take consistent action over the same duration of time that I was taking consistent action. And this is the classic lesson of, look, as time passed, I kept taking action. You could see it in my life, like you saw where I was at in 2017 versus you see how I'm at now. No, that's not, to be clear, from any kind of education company revenue. Don't let that fool you. That's from my agency that I'm making all my money with. Okay. And it's very important to understand. It's just, I'm just consistent, I'm just consistently taking action over the duration of time that you just didn't take consistent action. And that's really all it comes down to. At the first part where you're at now, the least. Okay. Everything seems more challenging because technically it is, because you just don't know enough yet. And it's technically the hardest right now because you don't have any big results yet, which makes it far easier to be able to generate clients. You don't get opportunities to close the best deals yet. You got to take some of those shit deals and make them better. And my point is like, regardless of those small challenges, small and easily manageable challenges, you got to fucking stay consistent, dude. That's the main thing that seems like to be your biggest problem. I don't know what's just spurred your motivation again to buy more courses and to get back into this game. But I will say this: you got to stay tapped into whatever that is. Okay, you can't let it be a fleeting feeling. You have to stay locked in. You have to stay consistent. On the days you wake up and you don't feel like doing anything, or you get back home from fucking bartending, or before you go out, it's like, dude, you've got to fucking do what you've got to do every day, regardless of how you feel about it. That's the big difference between people who end up over several years being in a far better position versus people who just end up in the same spot. It's just about consistency. You just got to do the things you've been taught, trust the process, and just continuously do them. You're in the right mindset, to be clear, with trying to consistently improve. Like all the improvement, every question you've asked today was about improvement and something that you could find out about to do better. It's a perfect mindset to stay in. As you start this process, don't be a perfectionist, but seek to improve it. When you start pitching people and you're not getting a great response, look at the statistics and try to find out what you could do better. When you start generating results for people, or you get a client, you fail. It's like, be honest with yourself. Don't bullshit yourself. Like, why'd you fail? How could you do better? That's really all it's about. It's just about consistency with the daily actions. And to be clear, the daily actions are really simple. I do the same things I did at the beginning of my marketing agency. I just have other people do them now. We have people that get pitched every single day. We have sales calls that happen in the business, whether I'm taking them or somebody else is taking them every single day. Okay. Those are two actions that we will never not do. We will, in perpetuity forever, consistently take sales-based actions. Okay. And just like you, I reflect on what I learn in a day. I reflect on other people's lessons in a day. I try to follow self-education best practices with reading and courses. And I'm going to an event next Monday through Thursday to learn more stuff from other people. You never want to be too good to learn more stuff. That's all under that category of get better at delivering results. See what other people are doing that are doing it, and just be humble to a degree and make sure you consistently try to grow. Just consistency, bro. You have to be consistent. You can't, whatever happened where you like fall out of doing it, you just can't let that happen. You got to stay sold. One of the biggest things, I don't know where you're at in terms of people in your life, but one of the biggest things that typically makes people fall out are the people around. I just had a girl that I grew up with. In Facebook, she messaged me and she was like, "Man, I've been following you for a few years, and like, holy shit, I don't know what the fuck you're doing over there, but like, I'm so tired of only making 50K a year, and I'm tired of living in Ohio, and like, I want to figure this shit out. Like, it seems like you've got to figure out like what can you do?" So I call her and I get her into my course, and I text her over the coming days, and I'm like, "Hey, did you start yet? Hey, did you start yet?" And literally just this morning, she's like, "Yeah, hey, I just started." She's like, "Sorry, I had to cut my boyfriend out." And I was like, "Oh yeah, what happened?" She was like, "I told him, what I'm trying to do with like starting a marketing agency and like learning from you." And like, she's like laughed at me and, was fucking trying to keep me down. She's like, "I broke up with him and cut him out of my life immediately. And I was like, "Yeah, smart girl, way to go." The people around you will be your downfall that can like easily pull you back out of the consistency and the routine that you need to stay in. You're going to do stuff that every person around you would never fucking do. Okay. All the people around you that are working jobs, they go home, they want to relax, they want to go out on the weekend, they want to hang out with friends, they want to hang out with family. Dude, you can't do any of that shit for like 3-6 months in a row. Like, you're going to be locked the fuck in, and at first you'll have nothing to show for it. You'll have nothing. There'll be no new deals. There'll be nothing for weeks, maybe even months. And then eventually you start to see signs of life, start to get a few deals. You'll triple your income from what you're making in your job. You'll be able to quit. People will tell you you're a fucking idiot. Why would you risk a job and a stable income? And it'll feel a little scary, and it'll just be a big breaking away from like all the stuff that you're around right now. All the regular people thinking, all the regular people routines, all the regular people just doing what they do. And my point is like, don't let your environment, don't let people, and don't let the lack of physical results prevent you from the consistency. That's what it's all about, dude. It's just about consistency. You go to the gym, right?
I've actually been locked in. I cut the gym out. I hate to say it, but I cut the gym out just so I can focus those hours on business.
I bet. But to be clear, it's like, from going to the gym in the past, like, dude, if I wanted to get fucking juiced biceps and like fucking sick arms, it's like if I started doing bicep curls and like tricep workouts and like fucking forearm workouts, like, could I expect a result in the first 2 months of doing them?
No.
I'm going to keep doing that shit. I'm going to be sore as fuck. I'm not going to see anything. Nothing's going to happen for 2 months, but I'm going to have to show up as many times a week as I can and still do those fucking workouts. And then maybe in the second month or maybe in the third month, you start to get that little thing on your arm, where you can start to see a little, so maybe you start to get some vascularity that you couldn't see before. You start to see some veins shining through, maybe you can notice it's like a little bigger, and maybe you get that one compliment, from somebody that's like, "Hey man, your arms are looking a little bigger," and that's like the first sign where you're like, "Oh my God, I guess I'm starting to see it," and then guess what? You still gotta be consistent as fuck to actually get to the point months after that where you like legitimately are starting to see some great results. And then even after that, is the game over? Fuck no, you keep working it and you get it bigger and bigger and bigger and looking better and better. And you start doing cuts to let it shine through a little more, cut down your body fat. There's a lot of shit that goes into it. But remember, at first, it's like the most demoralizing time. You know what I mean? Because
I
you're
feel
going to
you.
keep doing it. and you're gonna be like, damn, dude, like I can't see shit, and I'm sore as fuck every day, and like, why the fuck am I doing this? And then eventually, once again, there's like very subtle signs that start to show up. It's the same thing in business. And remember, just literally, the longer you're consistent with it, it's like, dude, imagine a guy who's been working arms for like 10 years. What does that guy's arms look like?
Massive.
You
Yeah.
know, it's like, I've been running my marketing agency for 10 years. It's like I live in a fucking 12,000 square foot house now. I have two Ferraris. I have a Rolls Royce. I have amazing investments. I just sold a fucking piece of land in Houston that I bought for like $300,000 for $400,000. I had a capital gain this month of like 80,000 something net. I thought that was pretty cool. There's all kinds of little things, but it's like, dude, it's not a shock to me. I've been working out arms for 10 years. You know what I mean? So
Damn.
it's like, that's all you got to remember is it's all about consistency, man. You're 34 now. Dude, for me, I'll never forget how fast life changed after like 2 years. I was amazed. Around 2017, I was doing it about 2 years at that time. I was thinking to myself, like, dude, this is sweet. Like I live in Miami and Los Angeles, like flying back and forth every week. I thought it was cool as fuck. All the people I got to meet. I thought it was cool doing like 200K a month, you know? And my point is like, dude, life changed so fast just in the first year. But by the second year, it's like I had a totally different life. Let alone by like, I'm going into the 10th year. I'm fucking amazed at how things are right now. And they're wildly different than how it was during year two. You know what I mean? So it's just about consistency, man. You make it through a full year of doing this shit, and it's like, what do you got to lose, man? You're 34. Like, what the
Nothing.
fuck you got going for you? It's like, dude, 34 to 35, you just sit there and you just do what the fuck you need to do every day, literally every day. There is literally no possibility of you being how you are right now at the end of the year of doing that. You would be
Damn.
wildly. You'd have a lot better results than what you got right now, and you'd have the start of your fucking $5 million business. You'd feel a lot better than you do now. I assure you of that. But once again, what's it all come down to? Consistency. You fuck up with consistency, you're gonna fuck up the whole thing.
Last question. That honestly, that was. I'm gonna listen to that on repeat. But the last question is the thing that I think is gonna really mess up my mental block. Is coaches and consultants, is that considered a niche?
Yeah, it's definitely considered a niche for sure.
Okay. Well, because some people are like, you need to go niche further and you got to do like fitness coaches or this kind of coach. But
I mean, you could, but it's like it's like whatever. They're all generally the same.
okay.
They're all running similar funnels and all that fun stuff.
Jeremy, appreciate your time. 100%.
Of course, man. Have fun.
Thank you.
Talk soon.